take for granted the LeBron stuff. It's unfortunate, actually.
The Lakers locker room is sitting on a powder keg right now, and the man they call the king might just be the one holding the match. When asked about the drama, he didn't just brush it off, he practically dared the media to keep talking. He claims the headlines don't faze him, but the tension boiled over the second JJ Redick tried to wave him down on the court. And LeBron's response? It wasn't just cold, it was the ultimate public humiliation for a rookie head coach. Stick around, because I'm breaking down the tape to show you the exact moment this dynasty started to crack. December 1st, 2025. Crypto.com Arena. The lights were bright, but the vibe was getting dark fast. LA came into the night looking invincible, riding a 7-game win streak like they owned the league. The hype was real. Fans were already talking championships, convinced this squad was destined for glory. But by the third quarter, that dream had turned into a nightmare. Lakers down 94-73. The Suns didn't just beat them, they dissected them. Outscoring LA 35-22 in the second, that is a massacre. Phoenix racked up 27 assists on 39 buckets. Meanwhile, the Lakers looked like strangers trying to figure out a pickup game. With 55 seconds left in the third, JJ Redick is screaming from the sideline, desperately calling for the Baron set. He's yelling over and over. Luka Doncic is bringing the ball up, but Redick needs LeBron to lock in and execute. But James? Zero reaction. He's too busy cracking jokes with the Phoenix bench to care about the play. He's yucking it up with Jordan Goodwin while his coach is spiraling. Redick calls time, and the cameras caught every second of the disrespect. The lens zoomed in tight on Redick, shaking his head. He looked like a man realizing he's completely lost control of his team. Even after the whistle blows, LeBron doesn't care. He finishes his chat, taking his sweet time before finally strolling back to the huddle. The delay was blatant, the optics were garbage, and the final score? A humiliating 125-108 loss. That beatdown didn't just snap a streak, it ripped the cover off the team's toxic chemistry and lack of heart. Dillon Brooks was an absolute villain, dropping 33 points and burying the Lakers with every single shot. Then you have Colin Gillespie coming out of nowhere, career-high 28 points, draining 8 threes like he's Steph Curry. The Suns walked out of LA with a 13-9 record and a massive statement win on their resume. Luka Doncic poured his heart out, 38 points, 11 boards, but it was wasted brilliance in a losing effort. LeBron? He struggled. Sure, he kept the streak alive 1,298 games with double digits, but those are empty stats. The numbers couldn't hide the truth. The energy was dead, and the engagement was gone. Post-game, Redick dodged the bullet. He refused to touch that specific timeout incident with a 10-foot pole. Instead, he leaned on excuses, talking about brain fog and the grind of playing 3 games in 4 nights. He tried to keep his cool, but you could hear the frustration boiling just under the surface. He literally compared them to the victims in Space Jam, acting like the Monstars stole their talent. Just a total, inexplicable collapse. But then he dropped the hammer. You don't play hard against a squad like Phoenix, you get exposed. Period. And the Suns were ruthless, punishing every lazy rotation, every missed box out, every single second the Lakers slept on defense. Phoenix proved one thing. The Lakers cannot just show up and expect to win against real competition. LeBron pointed fingers at the turnovers and the Suns' hot hands, trying to rationalize the blowout. He admitted they were slow, a step behind all night, completely out of sync on the offensive end. But neither the coach nor the king mentioned the elephant in the room. The internet, however, they weren't letting this slide. That clip hit the web like a bomb. It spread like wildfire, racking up millions of views before the players even showered. Over on X, the timeline was on fire. People were confused, they were angry, and they were loud. The critics came for LeBron's head, slamming his lack of focus while his team was getting crushed on their home floor. They called it straight-up disrespect toward Redick, a symptom of the rot infecting the entire franchise. Then you had the defenders, claiming a 41-year-old legend in season 23 gets a pass during a blowout. I mean, what's the point? Why grind your gears in a game that's already in the garbage? Why risk an injury when the scoreboard says it's over? The game was dead long before the final buzzer. Maybe LeBron was just being real, acknowledging the loss while networking with his guys around the league. Sites like Fadeaway World saw Redick's rage, but they tried to downplay it. Just a blip, they said. But does it look like just a blip to you? Larry Brown Sports unleashed a report that hit the wire like a shockwave, exposing the brutal reality Coach Redick faced trying to manage a legend like LeBron James. The drama took over everything: podcasts, TV debates, radio waves, and millions of social media timelines were on fire. But this wasn't just a glitch in the Matrix. It was the crack in the dam, part of a much darker pattern of tension between LeBron and the Lakers front office. Tension that was about to detonate in public view and hold the entire sports world hostage. The Lakers stormed out of the gate at 15-4. The hype was real. The blockbuster trade for Luka Doncic in February 2025 had rewritten the script and fueled legitimate title dreams. They looked like juggernauts. Then came the collapse in 11-13 slide that left everyone asking, is this team imploding? Redick didn't hide his frustration, publicly calling out the offense for becoming way too random the second LeBron returned from the sciatica injury that sidelined him for the start of the 2025-26 season. The analytics were a nightmare. The defensive rating crashed to a horrific 121.9 per 100 possessions, with LeBron on the floor, dead last among the entire rotation. The chemistry wasn't just bad, it was toxic. The pieces didn't fit, and the defense was a sieve. Then, after a humiliating Christmas Day beatdown by the Rockets, Redick went scorched earth, blasting the team for a lack of effort. He didn't dance around the issue, he went straight for the jugular. He promised uncomfortable film sessions where players would be forced to stare their failures in the face, total accountability, no hiding places left. The very next day, Redick locked the doors and delivered a sermon on hard truths that no one wanted to hear. Insiders called it brutal. Redick wasn't there to massage egos. He was there to demand answers and force immediate improvement. He demanded heart. And LeBron's response? He ghosted the media. A massive statement from a guy who always talks. That silence screamed that something major had gone down in that meeting, something that rattled the king. Sometimes, saying nothing says everything. Rumors exploded about a locker room showdown where Redick and LeBron got into it. No transcript, but the heat in that room was undeniable. Publicly, they played it cool, but behind the scenes, the smoke was turning into a fire. Anonymous sources kept feeding the flames, describing a cold war between the rookie coach and the greatest scorer of all time. Yet, Redick stood tall in the crossfire, defending LeBron against every critic outside the locker room. He campaigned hard for LeBron's all-star spot, ignoring the missed games and the load management noise. By January 2026, he was calling LeBron awesome to coach, praising his class under pressure. It sounded good, but it felt like damage control carefully scripted lines to cover up the cracks that everyone could see. Then LeBron took the safety off, openly demanding trades to fix the roster. Asked about deadline moves? Yeah, I do. No specifics, but the shot at his teammates was loud and clear. The message was undeniable. This team, as is, not a contender. Change wasn't a request, it was a necessity. LeBron wasn't wasting another year. December was just a symptom of a franchise in freefall. The alliance between star, coach, and owner was disintegrating, and the wreckage was about to spill out into the open, but the knockout blow came from the top, shaking the Lakers' legacy to its core. The Buss family civil war. On January 21st, 2026, ESPN and Baxter Holmes dropped the nuke. It was a journalistic bombshell that paralyzed the basketball world. It exposed a snake pit of Buss family infighting that had poisoned the bloodline and was forcing the sale of the team. But hidden inside that report was an even bigger grenade. Details of a secret feud between owner Jeanie Buss and LeBron James himself. These revelations shattered the Lakers family image into a million pieces. Sources claim Buss had been privately fuming about what she saw as LeBron's massive ego and the overwhelming control he and Clutch Sports wielded over her franchise. This resentment had been festering for years, eating away at the partnership between the owner and the face of the league. The report suggested Buss hated the narrative that LeBron was the savior sent to rescue her sinking ship. When the King touched down in Los Angeles in 2018, Jeanie Buss didn't see a savior walking through the door. She saw a man lucky to wear the purple and gold. The media spun this fairy tale about LeBron James resurrecting a dead franchise, and frankly, that narrative cut Jeanie to the bone. We're talking about the house that Magic Johnson built, the dynasty of Kareem, the sacred ground where Shaq and Kobe hung banners. The Lakers didn't need a life raft. They were the luxury liner. They were the destination, not the charity case. But behind closed doors, the resentment was boiling over, fueled by a laundry list of grievances that were about to explode. Buss was absolutely seething over the Russell Westbrook experiment in 2021, a disaster that LeBron demanded, pushed for, and arguably bullied the front office into making. The result? A humiliating 33-49 nightmare that saw the Lakers crash out before the playoffs even started, flushing a golden championship year right down the drain. And what stung the most? When the ship started sinking, Jeanie felt like her captain abandoned the helm instead of owning the wreckage. He engineered the move, but when it blew up in their faces, the report claims he stepped back, wiped his hands clean, and let the organization take the heat. According to the bombshell report, the tension got so bad in 2022 that Buss actually toyed with a nuclear option, letting LeBron walk. She didn't just think about cutting him loose, she allegedly floated trading him to the hated Clippers, a move that would have been the ultimate sign of disrespect to an icon like James. It wasn't just business, it was a power move designed to scream one thing: the Lakers are bigger than any single player. She was fighting to snatch back the soul of the franchise from the grip of the players and the shadow government of clutch sports. But if you thought things cooled down, think again. By 2024, the draft room became the next battlefield. With the 55th overall pick, the Lakers selected Bronny James, making history but raising eyebrows across the entire league. Let's keep it real. Bronny's numbers at USC were nowhere near NBA standard. We're talking 4.8 points, 2.8 boards, and 2.1 assists after a terrifying cardiac arrest scared the hell out of everyone the summer before. Drafting him wasn't about stats. It was a massive olive branch, a loyalty payment to LeBron to keep the peace and keep him in the jersey. Buss viewed that pick as a monumental favor, a sacrifice that demanded serious respect. But sources tell ESPN she felt LeBron treated it like it was owed to him, brushing off a gesture that moved mountains for his family. That silence, that lack of a simple thank you, it ate her alive. She bent over backward to make history happen for the James family, and the response she felt she got was cold indifference. Yet, despite the bad blood and the silent wars, Buss swallowed her pride in July 2024, handing LeBron a 2-year, $104 million bag. And the kicker? She gave him a no-trade clause, not because she wanted to, but because she had no other choice. That clause is the ultimate checkmate. LeBron James now holds the keys to the kingdom. He can't be touched, traded, or moved unless he gives the green light. The empire had officially surrendered to the emperor. You are spot on. And look, we aren't just talking about basketball here. We're talking about a clash of egos between the biggest star on earth and the most glamorous brand in sports. There is zero doubt in my mind that LeBron has driven that front office absolutely insane behind the scenes. But this ESPN expose on LeBron dropped right in the middle of a much darker storm, the Shakespearean tragedy of the Buss family itself. We are talking betrayal, backstabbing, and a power struggle so vicious it makes Game of Thrones look like a cartoon. It all started when the godfather, Jerry Buss, the man who invented Showtime, passed away in February 2013 at 80 years old. He left his 66% stake to his 6 children, locking it inside a trust that was supposed to keep the peace. The plan was simple: keep the Lakers in the family for eternity. But chaos doesn't follow a plan. By 2017, the family wasn't just fighting, they were at each other's throats. It wasn't an argument, it was open warfare for the crown. Jeannie's own brothers, Jim and Johnny, tried to stage a boardroom coup to decapitate her leadership and throw her out of power. They drew up a new list of directors that wiped Jeannie off the map, trying to strip her of everything her father trusted her with. But Jeannie? She didn't blink. She took her own flesh and blood to court, slapping them with a restraining order to save her presidency. She won the war, but the courtroom battle dragged the family's dirty laundry out for the whole world to see. And even after the gavel dropped, the toxicity festered. In 2019, things got personal during a showdown with her younger brother, Jesse. Jeannie allegedly looked him in the eye and delivered a line so cold it freezes the blood. "You should have never been born." That wasn't just an insult, it was a dagger referencing Jerry Buss breaking a promise to his first wife, Joanne, about not having more kids. It was cruel, it was heartbreaking, and it showed us exactly how poisoned the water has become in Lakerland. By June 2025, the situation in Los Angeles hadn't just deteriorated, it was spiraling into an absolute catastrophe. In a move that sent shockwaves through the league, the family voted unanimously to sell the keys to the kingdom. They handed a majority stake in the Lakers to billionaire Mark Walter, already a power player, through Guggenheim Partners at a mind-blowing $10 billion valuation. It wasn't just a sale, it was history. The highest price ever paid for a professional sports franchise, shattering every record in the book. The payout was astronomical. After the taxman took his cut, each sibling walked away with roughly $500 million in cold hard cash. But the Buss dynasty didn't vanish completely. They clung to a 17% stake, a calculated maneuver ensuring Jeanie Buss retained the governor's seat for at least another 5 years under NBA regulations. Fast forward to November 2025, the ink was barely dry when Jeanie made her move, consolidating her power with ruthless efficiency. In one blood-red afternoon, she executed a total purge. Her own flesh and blood, Joey and Jesse Buss were stripped of the front office titles they had held for years and escorted out. It was a public execution of authority, sending a deafening message about who was really calling the shots. Now, Jeanie Buss, left on the outside looking in, didn't go quietly. She took her heartbreak straight to the public square, airing the family's dirty laundry for the world to see. Her words dripped with betrayal. She described feeling discarded, utterly disrespected, like a piece of trash crumpled up and tossed aside without a second thought. She added, the pain visible in every word. Then came the emotional dagger. I don't think my dad would be happy with the way things just went down. Jerry Buss had built this empire on a dream of family unity. But that dream, it was dead. Buried under a mountain of cash and the wreckage of a family torn apart by greed and power. And right in the middle of this toxic inferno sat the king himself, a reality Jeanie would later have to admit, with a heavy dose of regret, was a disaster. When the bombshell story about friction between Jeanie and LeBron hit the wires, it wasn't just news, it was war. It landed amidst a backdrop of billion-dollar backstabbing and total organizational collapse. LeBron found himself cast as a secondary character in a twisted soap opera of dysfunction. Yet, even on the sidelines of the feud, every eye in the arena was fixed on him. The ESPN report was a PR nightmare. Within hours, Jeanie Buss went on the offensive, issuing a frantic statement to The Athletic to stop the bleeding. She didn't just deny the rumors. She attacked the narrative, fighting tooth and nail against the portrayal of her rift with a superstar. It is simply not right, she argued. Given everything LeBron has sacrificed for this franchise, dragging him into my family drama is a low blow. To imply he isn't appreciated is a lie. It's unfair. The statement was surgical, diplomatic enough to save face, but desperate enough to reveal the tension. Notice what she didn't say? She praised the player's legacy, but stopped short of denying the cold, hard facts reported by ESPN. Then came the social media play. Jeanie scrubbed her feed to highlight a photo her and LeBron locked in an embrace after the 2020 championship. Was it genuine respect, or was it a calculated PR stunt designed to put out the fire before it burned the whole house down? But the world was waiting for one thing, the Kings' response to the media firestorm. January 22nd, 2026. After a humiliating 112-104 loss to the Clippers, LeBron faced the firing squad. He didn't flinch. His reaction was cold, calculated, and dripping with disdain. He wore a mask of absolute indifference. A shield built over 2 decades in the spotlight. You could tell he was ready. He spoke with the swagger of a man who has survived every scandal the league has ever thrown at him. Quite frankly, I don't care about articles. I really don't. Stories, irrelevant. Podcasts, rumors, all that noise, it doesn't touch me. I'm 41 years old. I watch golf. That is my life. He kept going, his voice steady but sharp. I do not care about a headline. I don't care how someone feels about me. If you know me personally, you know exactly what I am about. These guys in the locker room, they know, and that is the only thing that matters. The message was a brick wall. The media had zero leverage here. He was drawing a line in the sand. No anonymous source, no speculation was going to break his mental fortress. But the press kept pushing. Is this where you want to be? Is the drama too much? LeBron looked him dead in the eye. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. 3 times. Like a mantra. Was he convincing the reporters, or was he trying to convince himself to stay the course? Then he dropped the curtain a bit. It's not like me and Jeanie are on the phone every day. You've never heard that. Don't spin this into something it's not. They pressed harder. Is this where you want to be? Is this where you want to finish? The tension in the room was palpable. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. He wouldn't give them an inch, but the admission hung in the air. He hadn't spoken to Jeannie since the story broke, a silence that screamed louder than any quote could. He called the partnership good, but then, with that veteran savvy, he added a layer of mystery. There are always two sides to the coin. That single phrase hinted at a darkness the cameras couldn't see. It suggested that the simple headlines didn't even scratch the surface of the chaos behind closed doors. In this game of billionaires and legends, conflict is the currency. The partnership might not be broken, but it was certainly bruised. Rich Paul, the power broker behind the throne and the architect of the Clutch Sports empire, didn't just respond to the noise, he tried to bury it. On the mics at his Times Game Over Times podcast, with Max Kellerman watching on, Paul swatted away the scandal like a fly, treating the entire explosive saga with absolute chilling dismissiveness. There's a hit piece dropping every single day, he snapped, his voice dripping with disdain. Who gives a damn? You think you know the truth? You don't know anything. Paul's reaction wasn't just a denial, it was a calculated strategy of silence and selection. In his world, not every barking dog gets a bone, and not every wild accusation deserves the dignity of a defense. Sometimes, the loudest move you can make is total indifference, or in this case, a profanity-laced rejection that screamed one thing. Asterisk, you people and your reports are beneath us. Asterisk. But the media machine? They smelled blood in the water, reacting to the leaks and the pushback with absolute ferocity. It was a feeding frenzy. Talk shows hijacked their entire rundowns to dissect the drama, while podcasts scrambled to record emergency episodes, breaking down every hidden meaning. The internet caught fire, turning into a battlefield of hot takes and conspiracy theories. Then, the loudest voice in sports roared, Stephen A. Smith took over ESPN's Times First Take asterisk, looking straight into the camera to deliver a sermon on greatness, defending the king's reign while daring to call out the man behind the crown on one fatal flaw. Here is the raw truth that this article conveniently forgot, Smith bellowed. LeBron James was worth every single headache, and that is the pill we have to swallow. That is the reality we have to embrace right here, right now. Before he landed, the Lakers were dead in the water. You were on your knees praying for a savior to come rescue Tinseltown from irrelevance. Smith went scorched earth, reminding everyone that the glamorous Lakers were absolute garbage before LeBron walked in. Suffering through 7 years of hell with 0 playoff appearances between 2014 and 2019, the purple and gold wasn't royalty anymore. They were the punchline of the entire NBA. The only reason to watch them was to see a train wreck in slow motion, a franchise defined by total dysfunction and public failure. Smith credited LeBron for single-handedly delivering the 2020 championship and defying biology with elite stats at age 41, dropping over 20 points a night in his 23rd season. As for the complaints about Clutch Sports holding the league hostage, Smith laughed it off. That's not corruption. That's business. It's the ruthless power moves any agent worth his salt would make to protect the asset and secure the bag. Then, JJ Redick stepped into the line of fire, desperate to shield his superstar from the avalanche of hate. The Lakers coach, having survived months of whispers about a rift with the veteran icon, seized the moment to kill the rumors once and for all. He didn't just defend LeBron, he attacked the narrative itself. He labeled the backlash a tragedy, ignoring the blood, sweat, and grind. LeBron pours into the game. I don't take the LeBron experience for granted, he said, shaking his head. It is actually heartbreaking. I don't want to go off the rails here, but it is wild to me how much this man sacrifices, how much he bleeds for this, and the way these vultures talk about him. It is insanity. Redick's voice cracked with legitimate frustration, aiming his anger directly at the critics trying to tear down a legend. It's like you have to find dirt. You have to go on national TV and take shots. You have to overanalyze every pregame ritual and every glance. It is all just complete madness. Redick pinpointed the root cause of the relentless hate. Pure, ugly jealousy. That is the nature of the beast. Nobody clicks on the nice story. You don't get trending topics by praising greatness. You get them by tearing a god down. The coach knows the game. The media ecosystem thrives on chaos, choosing war over peace and controversy over respect every single time. But Stephen A. Smith wasn't done. He circled back to expose one specific crack in LeBron's armor. The claim that the king doesn't hear the whispers, the idea that he is immune to the noise, LeBron is lying to your face when he says he doesn't care. That is a bold-faced lie. He cares. He always cares. Trust me, I know this man, he hears every word. Smith's takedown came from decades in the trenches, watching LeBron evolve from a rookie prodigy to a global icon across 3 franchises. He argued that LeBron's stone-faced public persona is a mask, hiding a deep, burning sensitivity. He is obsessed with his legacy, terrified of how history will be written, and desperate to control the narrative that future generations will read. Nick Wright then threw gasoline on the fire, cutting through the emotion to expose the brutal power dynamic of who actually saved whom in Los Angeles. The reason LeBron walks around like a savior is simple, because 2 years after he touched down, they were popping champagne as champions. Do not forget, this was arguably the worst team in professional basketball for half a decade. That was a drowning franchise, saved not by Rob Pelinka's genius or Jeannie Buss's fancy PowerPoint slides, but by the sheer will of LeBron James deciding to conquer LA. Wright's analysis hit the nerve of the ego war. LeBron views himself as the messiah of the Lakers because the scoreboard doesn't lie. Before him, ruin. After him, rings. The cause and effect is undeniable to anyone brave enough to open their eyes. Brian Windhorst just dropped the absolute hammer, delivering the most chilling, analytically brutal reality check on the LeBron saga we have ever witnessed. Live on Get Up, the insider who has tracked the king since high school, didn't mince words, laying out a terrifyingly narrow path for the superstar's future. The walls are closing in. He can stay in the purple and gold, or he can walk away. But a trade? Forget it. That door is slammed shut. He holds the ironclad no-trade clause. He is immovable. So the ultimatum is clear: stay in LA, but only if he is willing to bleed his paycheck dry. Or he walks into the unknown, joining a rival and sparking a media firestorm that would consume the entire summer, or he hangs up the sneakers forever. Windhorst put a number on it, and it is devastatingly low. A mere 33% chance the king returns to Los Angeles on a slash discount deal. Why the squeeze? Because the franchise pushed all its chips in on Luka Doncic, sacrificing Anthony Davis to the Mavericks in that earth-shattering February 2025 blockbuster. Doncic is the new sun in this galaxy, and his astronomical contract extension is a black hole swallowing the salary cap. It is dominating the books and strangling flexibility. LeBron cannot come back at his price tag, not if he wants teammates who can actually shoot. The clock is ticking, the trade deadline is looming, and the tension in the front office is thick enough to cut with a knife. Father Time is undefeated. LeBron turns 42 before the 2026-27 season tips off. Sure, the machine is still running. He has logged more minutes in the regular season and playoffs than any gladiator in the history of the league. The numbers still scream elite 22.4 points, 6 rebounds, and 6.7 assists a night. But the armor is cracking. Sciatica, foot arthritis. The pain is real, the absences are mounting, and everyone is asking, how much juice is really left? Explosive reports confirm a secret summit is set. LeBron, super agent Rich Paul, and owner Jeannie Buss are going behind closed doors. They need to scrub the toxicity and reset a relationship that has disintegrated into public finger-pointing and leaked grievances. Will this be a handshake of peace, or just a PR stunt to hide the knives while the resentment continues to rot the foundation? This is not just business. It is personal. The history here is a minefield of broken promises and bruised egos. The trust is shattered. You do not fix a betrayal this deep with one conversation over coffee. Enter Mark Walter. The Lakers' new majority shot caller brings a ruthless, unfamiliar energy to the Crypto.com arena. Look at his empire with the Dodgers. He turned them into a World Series juggernaut that strikes fear into the heart of baseball. He did it with cold, hard analytics and aggressive spending. He plays to win, not to make friends. The Dodgers are the envy of the sports world. Walter demands that same dominance from the Lakers, and he demands it immediately. But where does an aging king fit in this brave new world? That is the question keeping executives awake at night. Does the new boss see the 41-year-old icon as a cornerstone or just a temporary bridge to the Luka Doncic era? With a massive price tag and a breaking body, James might be an obstacle for an owner obsessed with the next decade of championships, not the last one. Let's kill one rumor right now. LeBron James was never waived. That is pure fiction. No coach on earth has the nerve to cut the GOAT. With a no trade clause, it is laughable. It is insulting. The headline screamed humiliation, but the reality was far more complex and far more dangerous. This was an ugly public airing of dirty laundry organizational warfare that has been boiling under the surface for years. Faceless sources whispered poison. The media vultures circled, amplifying every slight, every look, every word. And LeBron, he put on the mask of stone-cold indifference, trying to freeze out the noise. Is he truly unbothered, or is that just the greatest acting performance of his career? Only the king knows the truth. But look at the resume. 23 years, 4 franchises, and a lifetime of war against critics, haters, and chaos. Remember 2010? One TV special made him public enemy number 1 in America. He had to crawl back to Cleveland for redemption. Then he came to LA and faced a wall of skepticism about his heart and his hunger. Every tweet analyzed, every pass dissected, every handshake studied like the Zapruder film. And through the fire, he forged 4 championship rings with 3 different armies. He climbed the mountain and shattered Kareem's unbreakable scoring record, standing alone at the summit of history. He buried the doubters. He silenced the haters. He outlasted everyone who prayed for his downfall. This current drama, it will fade like smoke. The news cycle will move on to the next victim. LeBron James will lace them up and go to war until his body completely shuts down or he decides the show is over. And when that day comes, the war over his legacy, his ego, and his greatness will rage on forever. The arguments never die for a Titan like this. They just change shape. But right now, today, LeBron is a Laker, JJ Redick is the coach, and the drama is just getting started. Jeannie Buss remains the governor, but the ground beneath the franchise is shaking. The Danuch era has officially ignited, and now we are forced to watch as the LeBron James dynasty hurtles toward its dramatic, heartbreaking conclusion. The future is a volatile mystery, but if history teaches us anything, it is to never count the king out. LeBron James is poised to shatter expectations, silence the critics, and force one last impossible chapter into a career that is already legendary. He always defies the odds. That brings us to the final buzzer of this video. For more high-octane stories just like this one, smash those cards on your screen right now.